Well, good afternoon. On the 22nd of January from my home address, Mercury is starting to move forward, so I should start to communicate a bit more clearly. Yeah, point in fact, what I've got decided to raise, I'm having a cup of tea here. I went to get some tobacco, and it's 30-gram pack, which I purchased, which has now gone up from £17.65 a pack to £18.55. I may well have to return to the days when I was not smoking for quite a long time. I stopped smoking and then I started smoking after Up and Down got a bit fraught with me. And then when I had that death experience over here, I didn't smoke at all for a fortnight. So I'm not very sure why I started again. I think it was dealing with stresses. But stresses would be paying £18.55 for shite tobacco. It has to stop. I mean, I was just calculating there, roughly. In Malta I got 250 grams for about £35. Well, 8 packets of 30 grams here would cost you around, well, just under £150. It's more than £115 difference. So that speaks a lot, doesn't it? Cup of tea. I was also in B&M. I said to the manager, who seems to be permanently on the floor, your inflation rate on the biscuits is 39%. He says, how do you work that out? I says, it's gone up 39 pence from £1 a packet in 2 days. So he says to me, well, don't bother buying them then. I said, well, why don't you just close the bloody doors of your shop? And I mean, his shop's empty. I never went to B&M for the first 12 months. I didn't agree with it. But I popped in because I felt it was a nice community centre, place to meet people and have a chat. But all the chatting people have disappeared. They've realised that the inflation has become a burden. And I think for myself, a packet of biscuits going up 39 pence in 2 days is a burden for me as well. So I may not go back to B&M now. There's not really a lot of great stuff there anyway. So I went into my stock. It's not a very good picture, I'm afraid, in this dim light. It's actually darker outside than it is bloody indoors, but and it's still daylight, understand? But this liquid here is, well, it's a jelly. And it's made from round berries. And it's absolutely packed with every single vitamin and trace element that you need to survive. I have many of these. And I have also lots of hawthorn cordials and, elderberry cordials. And I have hawthorn jelly and rosehip syrup. So I'm considering never going back to any shop again, because with the onset of spring I will put all my herbal medicine and hedgerow foraging experience to its fullness, and I may well spend the whole of 2023 gathering as much as I possibly can. I've got some medicine which I've gathered in the late summer. I don't have to rely on any types of medicine at all. I'm never ill. The only thing I get ill with is Up and Down. She makes me ill at times with her fraught behaviour. But what I was going to talk about, rather than spoil my day about inflation at B&M or any other shop, In fact, that shop I went to, it's a wine store that sells tobacco. So I said to the chap, I says, does anyone ever buy this Chablis at £58 a bottle? And I mean, it's only 2018, it's not as if it's 1968. And he says, well, we sold 2 bottles yesterday. So I started to think myself, who on earth has got £58 to spend on wine twice? You know, it's almost £120 of someone's allowance for 2 bottles of Chablis. It must be good. I was talking about people that I saw in life which were not seen possibly by others. I don't want to make too big a thing about this, but certainly the Cookie Annie I talked about, and the accordion player and the piper, these were very real. And the dog called Flossie. But I was thinking just a few hours ago about one of my long friends. He's not long, but long-term friends, and we don't see each other much now. I said to him a few years back, I says, can you remember the chap that used to, when I used to go to his house, it was the terminology is going up for him. Understand that? I'm going up for it. It's a very common phrase. I'm going down for somebody, or I'm going up for somebody. Well, I used to go up for him on a Friday evening before we went to the Eric Liddell Club, and I said to him just a couple of years back when I met him, I said, "Hey, do you remember that chap that used to sit in the corner of your lounge? Remember, you used to invite me in, or your mum would invite me in and say, he's not ready yet, come and sit down." And I would sit, and there was a chap in the corner, and I described him perfectly. I says he would be in his 70s he always wore a very rough-looking grey jacket, a herringbone type effect on the material, a sort of jacket with big buttons and stuff. He said, "No." I says, "Yes, he only had one eye. He had a glass eye, it was blue." And my friend started laughing. I said, "No, I don't think so, Andy." I says, "Well, he was there every time I came up. He was always there on a Friday evening." I says, and every time I came into the house, he was sitting in the corner. And he was always laughing away. And what made me think about this in a very peculiar way was that my friend said, "No, there's no such person who was ever in my house." Well, his name was Charlie, because I remember him. And he used to chuckle away, and I mean, the strange thing is, he did look like an elf. But he wasn't an elf, he was a man. He wore a grey jacket, and he had one eye, but he had a glass eye. And my friend insists that he did not come into that house ever. Well, I saw him many times. So who's telling fibs? I don't think it's very peculiar, but I mean, there's no falseness in my memory. It's all very correct. I'm very specific. I'm rather frustrated that other people can't remember things. There's so many people I could tell you about. I mean, I can remember their real names as well. I won't give this chap's surname, but he did exist. And there was another lady. There's another lady that used to wear several coats. On the hottest of summer days, she used to stand in the baker shop. And it was rather sorry to see her, but she was, her skin had some rather unpleasantness on it. Her face was rather rather marked and with large kind of, what do you call them? Lesions or something. And she didn't smell very well either, I'm afraid, but as we used to go into the baker's, and I used to have to hold my nose when she was behind me. But she used to stand there all day as well. And I've asked about, and I said, do you remember this woman? And people say, no. I said, she stood in the baker's shop on the high street. I said, come on, please, remember her. But no. I know her name. I know where she stayed. She did live. I wonder what happened. See, the thing is, there's so many people, particularly older people now, they get to a certain age and they're marched off to the nursing home. So you never see old people anywhere now. And I think it was very important for the younger generation to be involved with older people in some respects, you know. It taught them a great deal of respect and manners to be in the company of older people, you see. Whether that be in the shop so they could offer the old lady the opportunity to go ahead before you, or you could open doors for older ladies and hold the door open and say, thank you very much, very thoughtful of you, young man. That type of behaviour. But you don't see any old people anywhere now. And that's the problem. And I must say it was a very rich environment growing up in the local town with so many older people just standing about all day long, chatting to people who wanted to listen. But I have such fond memories of all these individuals. And there was a very kind old lady called Mrs. Orchardson, and she was 98, and she lived in a little one-bedroom cottage. It was a little circular type house on the Manee estate. It was actually called the West Lodge. It was a point called the Golden Gates because the once painted golden. Now they look like the house has fallen to bits, isn't it? And it's all derelict and it's full of jackdaws and crows. But I used to go in and sit with this lady when I was out exploring. She used to bring me in for a glass of water, and she often had a piece of fruit or something for me. Sometimes it were wild strawberries or things like that. I said, what are these things? And she said, they're strawberries. You must know this. I said, no. So she took me into the garden and she showed me these strawberries. And she said, you can eat these, you know. I said, are you sure? I was always told never to eat any red berries in the countryside. And she said, don't be silly. She says, look, I'll eat it from the plant. And I have to say, she started to tell me about different plants and different things. And as I say, her name was Mrs. Orchardson. And she was 98 years of age. And she was a wonderful person. I really adored her. And I wish I had a photograph of Mrs. Orchardson. I always meant to approach the present lady of the estate and say, I won't give her name, but I wanted to just approach her and say, because I've been in the castle many times. I said up and down as we were driving past the castle grounds, I says, up and down, please quickly look at that sign and tell me, when is the opening day for the castle? So, up and down, she Julia obliged, and she said, so the date's on this and this. And I said, well, this is fantastic. Why don't we all gather together and go into the castle for a little jaunt around? And she said, that's a terrific idea. I look forward to this. But of course, a few hours later, she told me to get away and said I was a hideous cretin. But so I was going to approach the lady, because I often go out to see her, but I've not seen her since I think once since the lockdowns first occurred. But I'm not so regular on my walking route in the region, you see. But anyway, I was going to say to her, I said, do you have a photograph of any chance of Mrs. Orchardson? I might try and work that out. I've got a lot of things to do, you see. But this lady was ever so fantastic, and she had no lighting in the house. She didn't. She had no running water, and she had no electric. She used to go and wash in the little stream, and she used to gather water from the stream in all weathers. And I didn't ever see her in town, not once. And I'm not sure if she used to attend the church, because I wasn't a member of the church at the village at that time, you see. I was still a member of the big pointy church in the main town, you know, which serves the same name as what I've got. The patron saint of Scotland, you see. But I was thinking about that lady not so long ago, and I was wondering if I just wondered about her as well.